Okey. Dr. Hafiz boleh dengar ke?
Yes, boleh Prof.
Okey. Alright, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh dan selamat tengah hari, selamat sejahtera kepada semua yang dapat hadir, yang dapat join dalam webinar kita pada hari ini, pada petang ini dengan tajuknya Neoteric Approach Kurikulum. Bersama dengan kita pada petang ini adalah Dr. Muhammad Hafiz, Muhammad Hanif daripada UPSI. Saya akan memperkenalkan Dr. Hafiz sebentar lagi. So terlebih dahulu saya ingin mengalu-alukan semua yang dapat hadir pada petang ini. Saya nampak ada yang datang daripada berbagai tempat, berbagai universiti. Saya nampak ada juga Prof. Raja Maznah. Assalamualaikum Prof. Raja Maznah, jauh daripada Oman di sana saya rasa. Unless kalau Prof. Raja balik bercuti di Malaysia. So from Oman, Sultan Qaboos University. Alhamdulillah, thank you for joining our session this morning. I'm sure Dr. Hafiz will be very, very delighted, very excited to have you in this webinar. All right, so we have a very interesting topic, very relevant, very important, because we are talking about education. And the topic this afternoon is Neoteric Approach Curriculum. It's basically about the curriculum, especially focusing on the, I guess, the primary school or maybe even secondary school level. I think Dr. Hafiz will share more about that. So before I introduce our distinguished speaker, Dr. Hafiz, let me just give some background why we have this session this afternoon on this topic, because I think now one of the hot topics we are discussing now is actually about online learning, and suddenly we talk about curriculum, and something quite interesting, because the NEOTERIK curriculum, I'm sure a lot of people are excited to know about what is it about. What is this NEOTERIK curriculum? It sounds very bombastic, and that's actually there's been a lot of discussion on education. A lot of people are interested about our education system. Everyone are very, very concerned about the state of our education, whether we are doing the right thing, we are doing the right thing in the right way. So there's a lot of debate. Everyone has their own views and their own opinion, which to me is good. We celebrate, different views, different opinions. Everyone has their own ideas of what best for our education system. So, as we know that pendidikan di Malaysia, especially perkembangan kurikulum, telah mencapai lebih daripada 70 tahun kalau kita tinjau semula sejarah, daripada laporan Barnes dalam tahun 1949 sehinggalah Penyata Razak dalam tahun 1956. Kalau kita ingin menyurut semula sejarah pendidikan dan sejarah pembangunan pendidikan di Malaysia sebelum merdeka sehinggalah selepas merdeka, dan juga pembangunan kurikulum sekolah. Daripada mungkin sedikit saya berikan latar belakang, antara 1985 hingga 1982 kita ada kurikulum lama sekolah rendah ataupun KLSR. Kemudian kita ada di antara 1983 hingga 1992 kurikulum baru sekolah rendah ataupun KBSR. Dan kita ada di antara 1983 hingga 2010 kita pula ada kurikulum bersepadu sekolah rendah ataupun KBSR juga. Dan dalam tahun 2011 hingga 2025 disemakan semula kurikulum berdasar kerana kita ada dasar pengajaran sains dan matematik dalam bahasa Inggeris ataupun PPSMI, dan kita ada kurikulum standard sekolah rendah pula, KSSR. Dan kita boleh lihat perkembangan kurikulum yang berlaku dengan hasrat supaya pendidikan di sekolah, pendidikan murid-murid ataupun pendidikan murid-murid di sekolah dapat dijalankan dengan kaedah dan juga dengan konten yang relevan dan juga selari dengan falsafah pendidikan negara juga. Dan kita juga ada yang terkini adalah falsafah pendidikan, kita ada blueprint ya, blueprint education, kita ada dua, satu untuk sekolah dan juga satu untuk higher education. Jadi dengan perkembangan kurikulum pada berbagai peringkat, tentulah hasrat kerajaan adalah untuk menyediakan suatu sistem pendidikan yang terbaik, world class education kita katakan. But of course, there's a lot of definition perhaps and perception of what actually constitute world class education. Dan walaupun selepas beberapa semakan kurikulum telah dijalankan dan berbagai usaha dan inisiatif telah dijalankan dengan hasrat untuk memberikan pendidikan yang terbaik kepada rakyat Malaysia, masih banyak lagi debat ataupun masih lagi banyak ruang-ruang yang dikatakan perlu ditambah baik. Masih lagi dikatakan kurikulum yang sedia ada masih lagi belum dapat menampung ataupun dapat memenuhi hasrat falsafah pendidikan negara. And therefore, we are in this predicament where we have all sort of, like social problems. We don't have perhaps enough competent workforce dan sebagainya lah, banyak isu-isu yang timbul daripada dalam konteks pendidikan. Jadi pada petang ini kita ada Dr. Hafiz, Dr. Muhammad Hafiz, Muhammad Hanif yang akan memperkatakan, akan berkongsi dengan kita mungkin satu idea, fresh idea, satu idea yang baru tentang bagaimana kurikulum sekolah dapat dapat dilihat semula, dan mungkin ada pendekatan ataupun strategi yang lain yang lebih inovatif dan praktikal yang dapat dilaksanakan dalam waktu yang terdekat dan mungkin dapat mentransformasi pendidikan di Malaysia. Okey, saya perkenalkan dahulu. Selamat datang Dr. Hafiz. Terima kasih kerana sudi dalam in short notice untuk memberi ataupun berkongsi tentang tajuk ini, itu Neoteric approach kurikulum, dan saya rasa ini suatu tajuk yang sangat relevan pada waktu ini. So saya perkenalkan dulu Dr. Hafiz. Dr. Hafiz, Muhammad Hafiz Muhammad Hanif is a senior lecturer. Saya bacakan dalam bahasa Inggeris sebab yang ini saya ambil daripada website Dr. Hafiz yang ditulis dalam bahasa Inggeris. So Dr. Muhammad Hafiz Muhammad Hanif is a senior lecturer at the Department of Educational Studies, Faculty of Human Development, Universiti Pendidikan Sultan Idris, Malaysia, UPSI. He graduated with a bachelor degree in TESOL with literature as his minor in 2008, and went on to pick up a master's in instructional technology and a PhD in education from University Malaya and Warwick University, respectively. He hosts his own YouTube channel called Dr. Hafiz Explains and provide training for educators in the area of open educational resources, OER, and artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and augmented reality. So jangan lupa nanti subscribe kepada YouTube Dr. Hafiz ya. Ada banyak video-video yang sangat berguna, especially for teachers ya. He has been appointed as one of the fellows in CEO Faculty Program 2.0 Cycle 2 and received a placement and direct mentorship from the chairman of Al-Ihsan Sports Sendirian Berhad, where he learned to set up an tech startup company. He is currently working with the Curriculum Development Department and the Performance and Delivery Unit, PADU, under the Ministry of Education Malaysia to develop a comprehensive assessment system to support the classroom-based assessment, PBD, in schools. The system is being piloted in several select schools in Malaysia. He is also presently spearheading a game-changing project to innovate the education system as the director of UPSI's Lab School Initiative. So, kalau kita lihat biodata Dr. Hafiz, walaupun beliau masih kelihatan muda, tapi kita is very respectable biodata. Okey, sebelum saya serahkan kepada Dr. Hafiz, kepada yang baru join, saya mengalu-alukan sekali lagi dan saya berharap semua yang dapat join kita pada petang ini dapat memberikan feedback ataupun soalan-soalan yang nanti kita akan minta Dr. Hafiz untuk menjawabnya. Constructive comment, constructive feedback, and feel free to put it in the chat box ya, dalam chat box itu soalan-soalan yang ingin diajukan nanti kepada Dr. Hafiz. So baiklah, tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, saya ingin menyerahkan kepada sesi ini kepada Dr. Hafiz. Silakan Dr. Hafiz.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good day to everyone, especially Prof. Karim alias. Thank you for those really kind remarks on me, on my bio. I'm nobody actually. I'm just somebody who happened to have, people actually saw probably saw an opportunity for me to spearhead this initiative. So I have here with me a team of experts in education, all sort of fields in education, curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and everything. So just to structurize this session, structurize this session. So the session will be divided into two segments. So the first segment will be roughly around 20 to 30 minutes of me explaining about the concept and the background of the idea for the concept, and the remaining of the hopefully the remaining of the time will be spent on Q&A, the most exciting section for, I think, the segment for this session, I think, because I really do need all of your feedbacks in terms of, to look into this fairly new concept that we are trying to put forth. And hoping for constructive feedbacks or ideas, suggestions that we can work on or improving upon it. So let me just quickly share the screen. I have provided or prepared a series of okay. I hope that all of you...
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, all of you can see it. All right. So for this, so the title of this presentation or sharing session is the Kurikulum Pendekatan NEOTERIK or NEOTERIK Approach Curriculum. So NEOTERIK, by definition, it's modern. The meaning is it's just the meaning is the word modern. So what we are trying to do is to actually look into what we have existing in terms of the curriculum, the education system that we have presently in place, in practice right now, and to see whether are there any opportunities to push it even further, to to advance what we are currently have without tearing the fabric of the curriculum, the existing curriculum, without superseding or abandoning the akta pendidikan relevant peraturan-peraturan pendidikan and things like that. So at the end of the session, I'll provide link to a online Google form for you to fill any feedback that you have on this session. All right. So what we are doing here in Akademi Pendidikan Sekolah Makmal, my pusat tanggungjawab, we have this motto called advancing education. That is our motto, that is our mantra. So, and that is actually translating in what we are doing here in APSM. We do education differently. Education has been interpreted and reinterpreted and reintroduced a lot of different, times, a lot of interpretations, as what Prof. Karim has mentioned before. So, right now, what we are proposing is a new kind of like not really a new curriculum. It's not going to be a very different curriculum with what we have right now in practice. It's just doing it differently. So that is our mantra. That is what we believe. That probably is the nudge that we need to actually have an education system that is more successful, or successfully producing graduates that we want. So, so why do things differently? What's up with the current setups, current education system that we have today, that we need to do things differently? Because we believe that fundamentally in any education system, we have that repetitive and reproducibility elements into it. And it's tenet of the behavioristic kind of like model in education system. Not that it is wrong. Behavioristic kind of like system provide a structure, framework that we can hold standard to. But we believe that human evolves. So probably the things that we are practicing way before this might not be even working in today's world. And as all of you might have understand that everything is moving in a faster rate. So we need to actually look into opportunities to further advance what we have right now to better suit our children, our students nowadays. So so what we believe is in education. So education should be a process of creating new generations that are not only reproducing or repeating what other generations or other generations have been doing, but they have the capacity to do things. So that is what we actually believe, and why education should be there in the first place. All right. To better illustrate what is different from what we have right now and what we are proposing, let's look at the current state of education in Malaysia. And particularly what we are interested in APSM, Akademi Pendidikan Sekolah Makmal, is to look into the primary school part of the education system in Malaysia, because in UPSI, we already have a center, NCDRC. It's a National Child Research and Development Center. And within that NCDRC, we have our own kindergarten, we have our own tadika and taska with our own model of education. And it is very transformative. The pedagogical design is to me, is excellent. So what we're trying to do is to provide a proper flow to that experience, to that teaching and learning experience for the students, into that trickles down into the primary school. So that is why we are looking into primary school. After this, after we've done transforming the primary school or the KSSR, we'll look into the secondary school curriculum. So the current state of education, probably most of you have already known about this, the facts and figures. Even probably some of you might be really, really well versed with it, with the details. But for the sake of brevity, let me just reiterate it simply. So what we have right now is a movement from KBSR to KSSR, Curriculum Standard Sekolah Rendah, which was implemented in 2011. And within this KSSR, there are a few elements that are central to the curriculum, which are standard kandungan, which is quite a general content to the curriculum, and standard pembelajaran. So standard pembelajaran is a specific what we have before this learning objective. So before this we call learning objective. Now it's called standard pembelajaran. It's basically the same thing. All right. And then what we have, another component to this KSSR is standard prestasi. So standard prestasi is actually the assessment part of the KSSR, which looks into assessing whether the students have achieved the standards or not. So within this standard prestasi, it's a classroom-based assessment, fondly known as PBD, Pentaksiran Bilik Darjah, and it's a 6-point rubric assessment. So they have this to TP6. So TP stands for tahap penguasaan, if I'm not mistaken. Tahap penguasaan 1 hingga tahap penguasaan 6. By right, the students must meet at least TP3, the minimum. They have to, the teachers have to actually get the students to surpass TP3. Yeah. All right, and if we look at the structure of the curriculum, what we have is for tahap 1 we have the 9 subjects there, and for tahap 2 we have additional 2 subjects, sejarah and reka bentuk teknologi, to make it 11 subjects for tahap 2. And by the end of the primary school experience, students will an exam UPSR measuring for the subjects as stated, as what you can see, Bahasa Melayu, Bahasa Inggeris, Mathematics, and also Science. So that is what we have currently right now. And to that, we look into the graph that is on display right now, is the result, the UPSR result for between 2016 to 2019. So there are many indicators to actually look into how our students are achieving or performing academically. But for the sake of simplicity, let's just take UPSR results. We can definitely see a trends in the upward trends from 2016 to 2019. This is the percentage for pass minimum for students or candidates pass minimum competency level, meaning that the numbers of, or the percentage of students who pass all subjects. There's no subjects failed. So currently at 2019, they are at above 70% passed. All right. So this is fairly okay, but what if we want to actually push this even further, to have an exponential rise in terms of this minimum competency level? Because just because no, because this is something that we are looking into at APSM, Akademi Pendidikan Sekolah Makmal. Look at how we can better produce students, and it will probably reflect in the UPSR result in 2021 onwards. But the question is how? So how are we going to achieve the exponential rise in terms of this performance? There are many ways in terms of doing it, and many versions, many ideas has been implemented by the Ministry of Education, and I think it's gaining the momentum. But what if there is a way to actually expedite the process? What if there's actually way into improving our students' level of competency quickly? All right. So what we are looking here is you know, the the problem that we have right now. So time and time again, time and time again, issues like critical thinking, problem solving, creative thinking has been highlighted by various parties, various people, various agencies that says that our students, our graduates, our students who are coming out of the schools and going into universities are not really critical enough. They don't have this, so they're lacking in terms of skills, in problem solving skills, in critical thinking skills. And that is something that has been debated for quite some time already. And as with what Dr. Amin, the previous KPPM, said, it could be due to the students' lack of critical thinking, and this is something that has been bugging the ministries and all the educationists years before. So Ministry of Education is very well aware of this and have done a lot of, have deployed a lot of initiatives and, strategies to actually mitigate this issue. But we at APSM, Akademi Pendidikan, Sekolah Makmal, we believe that, we are not actually addressing the root cause of the problem. So what's the root cause of the problem really? So after deliberation, what's the root cause of the problem? What's the heart of the problem? So when we talk about education, it's tied very nicely with learning and teaching. So what's the center? What's the center? What's the heart of learning? What's it at the center of learning? All right. So what is it? We believe that it is the instruction. Okay, we believe that it is the instruction, the learning experience that mold, the mold the teachers, the students, the interaction, and the result of that instruction. So because the result is not ideal, so we need to look back at the instruction. What of education have done, in recent years, they have added, a lot of elements, additional elements, element mentas curriculum to actually, mitigate this issue. But I think we really need to look into the current structure that our teachers are facing, the schools are facing right now. One of the most common thing, have been discussed in the schools in regards of teaching and learning is the time taken to actually cover all the syllabus, because we have a very robust syllabus in Malaysia, in education in Malaysia. We aspire to actually, give all possible things that a child should learn, well before their time, I think. So what we need to actually do is to actually look into the instruction or the learning experience. So the learning experience, it tells or it boils down to the interaction between teachers and students, and also the interaction between or within the curriculum itself. So as you can see on the screen, this is just a very simplistic way of putting it. There are, other perspective to it, but this is something that has been shared by many teachers. So it's like, the teachers don't really have the time to actually solve or finish the syllabus, so they are taking time to to actually be finishing up the syllabus and not really exploring many ways to actually deliver the content creatively. So that transpires to an uninspiring lesson and then uninspired students. So it's a downward spiral kind of like interaction or relationship. And this is not, we are not blaming teachers, because there are so many factors at play that that resulted in that kind of situation. We are not really, we are not blaming the teachers, but there are, you know, there are, we should focus on helping the teachers to be able to better design the lesson, better design the learning experience, so that, you know, it will trickle down to the students and also be reflected to the you know, to the results. All right, so how to do it? So the question is, the next head cracking, mind numbing questions that we have here in UPSI, in APSM, is how to achieve you know, a desired outcome with minimal damage. How to actually change a system without, you know, with without leaving a very heavy footprint, something like that, right? So I think, and I think this is this question has been really been discussed in the group, in the group that we have, the WhatsApp group that we have. So how to do things, how to actually mitigate this issue with great care. In APSM, we believe that to have a better education system in Malaysia, we need to be thinking about the, you know, one of the most influential stakeholders in the system, the teachers. So we actually need to be taking care of the teachers. If we take care of the teachers, then hopefully they will, you know, have that, you know, capacity and that the you know, the ability to carry on the education as how it should be. All right. So for this, in APSM, what we are looking into, what we are doing currently is growth hacking the curriculum. Growth hacking curriculum simply means that to maximize its potential. The term hacking in marketing sense of it is to actually get an exponential rate of, you know, additional users for a system or an application. So that is basically growth hacking, in to put in simplest way. So to growth hacking curriculum is, for us in APSM, is to look into the curriculum itself and to see what are the opportunities that we can do to actually push the boundaries of the education further, right? So for this, we take a look at the national curriculum, the KSSR, the documents. So within that KSSR, the teachers have this document, DSKP, document standard, DSKP, document standard curriculum dan pentaksiran, right? So within that, they have this structure. The content and the assessment part is explained in greater details within that respective document, DSKP. Each subject has their own DSKP. And then so after looking into the DSKP and the KSSR, what we you know, have found opportunities to improve the curriculum in terms of the measuring kemenjadian murid, students' excellence, kemenjadian murid, measuring student skill, inclusivity of subjects, assessment systems, teachers' creativity, and parents' involvement. So those are the components that we think we think we are able to you know, push the boundary further. Measuring kemenjadian murid. I want to comment on this. Within that DSKP, each subject has their own document, standard curriculum dan pentaksiran. And within that, they have outlined very beautifully, very descriptively how a student should be, basically the kemenjadian murid. But then the system or the document, you know, wasn't really transparent enough to actually illustrate how are we going to track this kemenjadian murid? So that is missing. And another thing that is missing in the current curriculum is measuring student skills. It's not missing in terms of there's none there, but pelataan ataupun the alignment of the assessment is not really, it doesn't jive really well. For example, for a quick example, I'm taking English as an example. Within English, there are four basic skills the students need to master: the speaking, reading, listening, and writing. It is clearly illustrated within the standard kandungan and standard pembelajaran, but then it wasn't really mereka mapped on top of the assessment really clearly. So as a result, the assessment is not clear in terms of at what level that particular student is at in terms of his or her speaking skills, reading skills, listening skills, and writing skills. If you have seen pelaporan PBD, Pentadsiran Bilik Raja, each subject will be represented by one statement where the student's TP is. Like for example, Bahasa Inggeris, TP 4. But it doesn't really have that, the richness of the data that they should have actually to describe within English or Bahasa Inggeris. There are 4 skills there. At what level for each skills the students are at. So that is missing. The inclusivity of subject, this is I will describe further later after this. The assessment system, PBD, we think that we can actually help the ministry in terms of in this system, Pentadsiran Bilik Raja, and teachers' activity and also parents' involvement is also something that we not say the byproduct, but it's within the design of the curriculum, the NEOTERIK curriculum. So the NEOTERIK approach curriculum is based on the national curriculum, but there are also elements that have been taken from SDG 4, Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which is quality education. We've also looked into the WEF, one of the publication that they have, New Vision for Education. From there, we found that this is the 16 skills for the 21st century learners. So we take that and embed it within our NEOTERIK approach curriculum, and also, of course, the blueprint. Blueprint. So the base of the NEOTERIK approach curriculum is this integrated curriculum model. So this is something that is not new. It has been used by special education aspects in education, integrated curriculum model. We in APSM believe that it is now time to actually use this model and to test whether this model can be used with other students as well, because integrated curriculum model used to gifted students. So we want to take this integrated curriculum model and try it to the mass students, not just gifted students. So for this, we have outlined several aspects into or elements into in the NEOTERIK curriculum, which are learning clusters. Okay, generalist educators, constructive alignment, holistic assessment, transformative pedagogies, and parents and community. So those are the elements within the curriculum approach. Neoteric approach curriculum. Okay. But then within this session, I can't really delve into each of these elements because it will require a lot of time to actually explain the whole framework. But I will just cherry pick a few things that I think is important enough or to be able to illustrate what is actually curriculum neoteric is. So the first element is the learning clusters. So this is something that not revolutionary, but it's something that would probably disrupt the current exercise or the current practice that we have in schools in Malaysia. What we have right now, a system where learning and teaching and learning experiences are being delivered subject based. But what if we blur the lines between the subjects and instead we teach the students based on themes and topics? So within that themes and topics, there is a mixture of elements between the subjects. So this is inspired. This is truly inspired by from a concept that we have actually in practice for a long time, but I failed to see the effective delivery of the concept among the teachers nowadays. It's merentas curriculum, curriculum yang merentas curriculum. So teachers are right now expected to actually embed this element merentas curriculum or multi-subject kind of like elements individually. It is not embedded, it is not clearly illustrated within the document standard. It is not designed, not to say not designed, it is designed to be merentas curriculum, but there are multiple factors that prohibit teachers to actually execute that kind of teaching beautifully. So what we are doing here right now is to blur the lines between the subjects. We merge the subjects and we teach the subjects by themes and topics. So what we have right now is, let's see. Okay. So this is a sample. This is just a rough sample, very crude sample to actually show you that this is something that is possible. So we have learning standards that are from different subjects. We have within this sample lesson, we have from Bahasa Melayu, mathematics, and also science. And within that, learning activities, we do activities that touches or focuses on achieving those learning standards. Okay, so within this example, there are 5 learning standards. Probably you can argue it's too much for the teachers to actually follow this. We are still tinkering with this. We will have a series of workshops to actually develop in this document, what we call document standard Kurikulum Pendekatan NEOTERIK, the SKPN, which will mimic the DSKP, but with our framework in it. All right. So we will then within the workshop we will then see how many standard pembelajaran that can be embedded within a lesson. So this is something very, very experimental for us. For the learning clusters, what we have come up with is these 4 learning clusters. So this is this is debatable. This is something that we think suits. What we have are 4 learning clusters: perkembangan manusia, numerasi and musicology, bahasa dan komunikasi, and kerohanan dan nilai. So within each of the learning clusters, we have at least 3 subjects. The structure is set this way because for each learning clusters, we put the critical subject for UPSR. For perkembangan manusia, it's science, numerasi and musicology is math, bahasa. So the bahasa cluster, bahasa and komunikasi learning clusters is quite unique because although it is a cluster, but when it is operationalized, when we do the timetabling, each language will stand on its own because language is medium of communication. You can't really jive ataupun merge bahasa Melayu and bahasa Inggeris together. You'll get Manglish. So in operation, cluster bahasa dan komunikasi will be a bit unique. The language will stay, will have their own period lesson on its own. So bahasa Melayu, English will be English. For kerohanian dan nilai, it's pendidikan Islam and pendidikan moral. All right. So soon we are also looking into CAFA, right? CAFA curriculum to see whether the subjects taught within CAFA curriculum can be modeled based on this Neoteric approach curriculum. All right. The next element within the Neoteric approach curriculum framework is the constructive alignment. So for those who have been, have been in involvement with MQA, so you might be well familiar with constructive alignment. Because constructive alignment is a concept that we in higher education use in terms of trying to read the programs, the course, so that what we do within the course will be aligned with the institutional learning outcome, the program learning outcome, and things like that. So I and we in Akademi Pendidikan Sekolah Makmal were inspired with this kind of approach in terms of structuring a learning experience. So much that we've taken this concept within this framework. Currently in the primary school education curriculum, they don't really have this constructive alignment concept or structure to it. So this is something new that we are introducing. So basically, what will happen is assessment that will happen within the lesson. It will trickle down to several. It will end up in several cases. One is the domain kemenjadian murid. Okay, we have 16 of those. And also the assessment will go down to the core competencies for each subject. So each subject will have their own core competencies. Like for example, I said just now, for English, they have speaking, reading, listening, and writing. So the assessment will go there. And there will be a system that governs this as a backbone, so to speak, system to actually alleviate most of this pentaksiran bilik darjah burden away from the teachers and to actually simplify the assessment process for the teachers and the students. All right, so that is for constructive alignment. So moving on to the next element, which is very much related to constructive alignment, is the holistic assessment. So this is a system called classroom.io, which is a homegrown system. So this is something. This is a platform for the teachers to actually carry out pentaksiran bilik darjah. So classroom.io is a platform for assessment, and what it does is it provides a platform for the teachers to actually score the students, and based on that, the system will spit out learning analytics for the teachers to actually look into each students, or collectively as a class, or as a whole school, in terms of their learning analytics. All right. So, for example, each students will have a profile, and within that profile, it details out their core competencies for each subject, and it is represented by this beautiful spider web or radar chart of these core competencies. So for each students will have this profile. The parents will have access to their children's profile, and the teachers will have access to the profile for all of the students. So there are no more working or teaching in silos after this, because what is currently happening in schools, this is a normal scenario. Like, for example, if I'm teaching English in a school, I would probably know my students' performance in my own subject, unless I'll explicitly ask another teacher how this particular students are doing in other subjects as well. So it's very self-initiated in terms of that. But with this system, it exposes the learning analytics for all of the students. Like, for example, if I have a student who is struggling with English, so I can look into his profile or her profile and look at which subject he or she is excelling in, and which skills he or she is good at, and to try to design lesson based on the knowledge that I have about that students, to design um, a learning experience or a lesson that includes that part of or that skill, or that, or something that that particular student actually like doing, right? So this is something I think very beneficial for the teachers, and this is something that I believe can be a game changer in education field in Malaysia. So, if theoretically speaking, if the students started to use this system in standard one, theoretically speaking, I might be making some people angry today, but I can safely say that with this system we can abolish actually UPSR. We don't need SPA, UPSR, because this system, coupled with pentaksiran bilik darjah, which is a formative assessment in nature, provides a very accurate assessment of the students. And at the end of Darjah 6 or Standard 6, the students will have a holistic assessment in terms of the what he or she is capable of doing. All right, a very detailed description. With this system, you can also spout out or spin out other data as well. Like, for example, if the system is used nationwide, you can you have the data. We can do big data analysis each subject. National average. We can compare each student with national average and things like that. So it's a very beautiful system, and I think this is one of the game changers in education. So to sum up with what actually NEOTERIK curriculum approach has within its framework is this, based on the documents from WEF, the national curriculum. We have Incheon Declaration, we have SDG 4, and also Falsafah Pendidikan Kebangsaan. From there, we translate it into a curriculum pendekatan NEOTERIK which have these elements in it. In domain kemudian murid that we track. So actually by the end of or in any of the time that that you want to see, for each students you can open the profile and look at budak ni menjadi tak menjadi, right? So within that 16 domain, di mana which aspect he or she is excelling in, which aspect he or she is probably have to work more to actually focus more in the future. So penjajaran konstruktif, like what I said just now, is the alignment of what we do in the classroom should align with the kemenjadian murid and also kompetensi teras that be reflected in terms of their own assessment and academic performance. PBD berteraskan teknologi which is the classroom.io, and four clusters pembelajaran, 4 learning clusters. So with this, we hope that we can produce what we call Insan Madani, which have these 16 different skills, 16 domains. So the definition of kurikulum pendekatan NEOTERIK is, what I can say is, it's sebuah pengalaman pembelajaran dan rancangan pendidikan bersistematik diolah berteraskan kurikulum kebangsaan yang bersifat lebih integratif dan dinamik, mencakupi ilmu pengetahuan, kemahiran dan nilai yang selaras norma budaya dan masyarakat lokal dan global. Alright. And for matlamat kurikulum pendidikan NEOTERIK adalah untuk menghasilkan insan madani yang seimbang dari segi intelek, rohani, emosi dan jasmani serta sosial yang menguasai pelbagai kemahiran dalam aspek. So the 16 different domains that we are tracking the students: literasi numerasi, literasi saintifik, literasi ICT, literasi kewangan, literasi budaya, kritis, kreatif, komunikasi, kolaborasi, inquiry, insight, IGIF, penyelesaian diri, kepimpinan dan kesedaran sosial. So those are the 16 domain kemenjadian murid. Insan madani yang dilahirkan berupaya menyumbang kepada kemakmuran dan kesejahteraan diri, keluarga, masyarakat, negara dan global serta bersedia menghadapi cabaran yang mendatang. So this is matlamat kurikulum pendekatan NEOTERIK. Alright. I know that we can't really delve in details because if I started to to explain in details in terms of the technical part of how we develop the curriculum pendekatan NEOTERIK, it will take longer than 1 hour. So we are going to have a series of bengkel to develop this curriculum pendekatan NEOTERIK. So I hope that for those who are probably interested to actually be involved in this workshop, you can actually scan that QR code or go to bit.ly/NEOTERIK 20. There is the Google form that I mentioned earlier within the earlier session just now. There is also a question that asks you whether you are interested to be involved in this in the workshop. So just indicate yes, and then we'll contact you soon. All right. So I think I really apologize of the brevity of the explanation. But we can actually, if you want some clarification, you can just ask after this. I'll try my best to actually explain how what I can. Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hafiz. Congratulations. This is, I think, a huge undertaking for you and UPSI to embark on this endeavor. Not many people actually are brave enough to do this because it's really a huge undertaking. And I know you cannot explain in detail within this 1 hour because there's a lot of things, and basically what you have shared just now is just the basic general framework, conceptual framework of the so-called Neoteric curriculum. And luckily, towards the end, you showed the slides on the definition of Neoteric because I was waiting what exactly is this Neoteric, but you put it together towards the end. Very the word Neoteric itself, when I Googled the meaning of Neoteric, basically is it's about something new ideas or new thing, right, Dr. Hafiz?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, when I look at the framework just now, there's a lot of things, and I'm sure a lot of works and a lot of groundwork, because you put together the ideas, the big ideas from different, I think from different, I would say, different places or different concepts, like those from the New Economic Forum, the National Curriculum, the Incheon Declaration, UNESCO, and also our own national education philosophy. I think that's I think the good thing, because you are looking at different things without trying to reinvent the wheel, and looking at what people have done and looking at the current issues that people have been discussing about our education system currently. Okay, maybe we have a few questions here in the chat, Dr. Hafiz, but maybe before that, can I just ask you, are you convinced enough that this Neoteric curriculum is going to be the game changer if we can implement it successfully? Everyone, every stakeholders, the ministry, from the top to the parents on the ground, will buy in the ideas, and we have capable teachers to deliver that. Do you think it's going to be a real game changer in our education?
Thank you, Prof, for the question. I think I genuinely think that this is this can be a game changer, because this is something that is not really out of the world kind of like solution, because what we are what we are taking in is something that is existing in practice. The teachers are very familiar with the standard pembelajaran, standard kandungan. We are not changing that. We are just restructuring the existing curriculum itself. So in terms of doability, it's doable. And I think and on top of that, when we restructure the national curriculum, the current curriculum, that in practice we've taken into account the opportunities for the teachers to actually be creative. So that so for that, in that respect, that is why we have designed a system to actually help mitigate or alleviate at least half of the burden of the teachers, so that they will have more time to actually explore be creative, pedagogically creative, and then we are hoping that with the clustering of the subjects, we will give some freedom to actually tinker around with a more constructivistic kind of like pedagogical design, like problem-based learning, project-based learning, case-based learning, challenge-based learning, something like that. Because interesting enough, those kind of pedagogical design has been mentioned within that the SKP, but in practice, do we see a lot of problem-based learning, project-based learning in schools right now? No, right? So I think, with this combination, it's practical enough. And when it is practical enough, inshallah, it will be game-changing. Yeah.
Okay, so that's why you stressed, I think, at the very beginning that we are not doing different things, but basically we are doing things differently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I believe, as you mentioned, we have good enough in terms of the document and the concept, the strategies. It has been kind of spelled out very clearly in the education blueprint and in the different curriculum model that we have so far. But again, as usual, the issues are the execution at the school level, right? It's not
Yeah.
reaching the level that we really want to see. Okay, let's pick up one question here. Perhaps at 2:45 here, this question by Dr. Abbas. Keep moving. My screens keep moving. Yeah, from Dr.
Yeah.
Abbas Muhammad Ayub here. How do we relate this concept to KSSR and KSSM, incorporating new elements into them? So I think we have partly answered that, but maybe you want to say more.
Okay. There is, in terms of the curriculum itself, we are not changing, a single letter to the curriculum. What we are doing is to restructure the curriculum to give a better opportunity for the curriculum to be empowered by the teachers. So that is what we are doing. So in terms of relating, it's very much related to the current practice KSSR and KSSM. It's just doing things differently. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Another question from Dr. Alabas Muhammad. I think we should pay this one at 3:02 p.m. I think we should pay more attention to classroom-based assessment, aka formative assessment in schools, for which teachers need to train on regular basis. In my study, I found one of the challenges was the cascade training model employed by ministry. I think there are distortions and dilution in the information being transferred from MOE to school. So your opinion on this, Dr. Hafiz?
Yeah, I really, really agree with Dr. Alabash Muhammad Ayub Khan with his comment on this. I am glad that he is referring to his study, and this is basically the reason why we developed such system, classroom.io, because what he has found within his study is relevant, or it's the same with what we are not experiencing, what we found when we first tried to tackle this problem, because different schools have different ways of doing the PBD. This is something that is really, really shocking for me when I started doing the project, because different schools have different pemahaman, understanding about how the PBD should be done. Some is very much structured, like for example, in one school that I know, they interpreted the TP, tahap penguasaan, from TP1 to TP6 to be something like, okay, the students will have to be assessed for TP1 first. So for example, if in a classroom there are like 30 students, basically 30 in the classroom, so the teacher will have to actually test the student for TP1 first, and then after they or he or she done with TP1, after that TP2, after done with TP2 and TP3. This is something very very to me is very much what do you call this misinterpreted kind of like PBD approaches or execution. When I mentioned this to the guys in the ministry, they were shocked because they said that this is not designed to be carried out as such. And that is, I think, it's there is a watered down version of the PBD is currently being practiced in the school. So that's why I and me, my team and I really looking forward in terms of having the system that we are developing to the schools, because the system streamlines everything. Currently, what the teachers are doing for PBD, they have multiple Excel sheets, offline Excel sheets. They need to a lot of transit form for them to fill in, and on top of that, they have to save all the data within a computer in the school. So when let's say a PPD or JPN would like to have the data, then Guru Data akan populate the data in probably another Excel sheet and then send to PPD or JPN. So this is very tedious. What we are doing with the system is something very streamlined. As soon as the teacher use the system in a classroom to assess a student, as soon as the teacher click save score, the score will auto populate it up until KPM. So that is something that we are doing right now, right?
So it sounds like a very typical story. I mean, we have very ambitious model, very ambitious framework, and everything have been laid out very clearly how to do it. But then when it come to the real, the real crunch, the real implementation at the ground, on the ground, it doesn't happen the way that we and envisage how things should be done. So I guess when we are looking all these, the gaps between what really happening on the ground and what we envision to implement, to deliver the best education. Even that what we have already in the blueprint, perhaps if we implement 50% of it, perhaps it can be a game changer as well, right? So these are, to me, still a nagging kind of issues. That's why the question is very relevant as to, how best to implement this. If we want to implement this neoteric approach, let's say, is it within the total control of the school and the teachers without worrying about, we have the system penaziran, the Nazir will come and look at what the teachers are doing. They are doing different things, and then they will say, no, you're not doing this the right way. Things like that, Dr. Hafiz. How do we address those issues?
I think what we have designed here is in line with what is in practice currently. And again, we have examined a lot of documents, Akademi Pendidikan, to see whether this is doable or not. In Akademi Pendidikan is clearly state that the curriculum that is to be used in schools is curriculum kebangsaan. So that is why we are not straying away doing different curriculum, different kind of like model and things like that. We are focusing on curriculum kebangsaan, and I think the system or the framework that we have can work with the existing the infrastructure that are currently in practice in schools. So probably there might be a need to actually align with if it is if it has got to do with how the pentaksiran ataupun how the subjects being being taught, then I think there need to be a mapping of a sort. But then with the system, with the backbone system that we have for the learning analytics, the reports, although the learning is thematical and topical, the reports will come out as subject based. So it's I think it's compatible. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Hafiz, we have a few questions and comment from Zach. I'm not sure the full name. I think Zach is probably from our group issue Pendidikan, I guess. At 3:36 p.m., the comment there are more Leonardo da Vinci and Ibn Sina in the making from this Neoteric curriculum. And another comment or question related to that is about the how this Neoteric curriculum integrate the values, the accountability, things like that. How does this Neoteric curriculum address that part?
Okay. We have designed a series of workshop to actually develop and mengintegrasikan this pendekatan neoterik kurikulum kebangsaan. So within this bengkel, we have come up with a template, and this template will have within it pelataan for each standard pembelajaran onto the 16 domain kemahiran insaniah and also core competencies. So the mapping of the existing curriculum with these additional elements of the curriculum pendekatan neoterik ni will hopefully ensure that there is a clear connection between what is practiced in the classroom, the lesson itself, with some one or more aspects of the 16 domain kemenjadian murid, to which spans from literacy to actually the soft skills and things like that. When we design this document, what we call document standard curriculum pendekatan neoterik, we will have to make sure that it is being taken into account. Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can give the opportunity for the participants now to unmute to ask questions directly. So those who want to ask questions directly, siapa nak tanya soalan boleh unmute the microphone. Okay, Prof. Raja Masnah daripada Oman sana. Silakan.
My Sifu tu.
Prof. Raja, do you want to ask any questions to Dr. Hafiz here? Or anyone?
Hello.
Hello, ya. Boleh dengar siapa ya? Prof. Raja agak?
This is Zed.
Oh, okay. Zach, please introduce. I'm not very sure your...
My nickname is Zorro, but you can call me Zara.
Okay.
The key is implementation. I can see we are burgeoning with ideas, but the key here is implementation. What are the steps that you're going to take to ensure that this brilliant idea is implemented properly? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Zed. Ozoro, Ozara. All right. For the implement part of the neoteric curriculum approach here is first, ideally, we need to actually have the green light, a go from the KPPM herself, because even though that this curriculum is based on the national curriculum, as per the Education Act, we need to actually have the agreement from the explicit agreement from the KPM. So for that to happen, we need to have probably an MOA between UPSI and KPM. And after that, we are looking into first piloting the curriculum that we are developing. And for that, what we are looking into is to actually try to help the Sekolah Kurang Murid, the SKM, around Malaysia. Probably we will start focusing on Sekolah Kurang Murid within the vicinity of UPSI or in Perak first. Because why SKM? Because the students are less than 150, and we have also few bengkels, few workshops that we have drafted. That sort of like retooling workshop for the teachers to actually have them understand how to actually operationalize this curriculum with this a different kind of like model, even though it is basically based on the same thing, but in practice it's quite different because it involves in terms of the clustering of the subjects, meaning that there is no one single subject being taught apart from the Bahasa Melayu and Bahasa Inggeris. So the bengkel retooling, we think that it is one of the vital things that needed to be done first before we actually carry out the pilots. And we have a 3-year plan to execute the whole of curriculum for sekolah rendah. So this takes quite a lot of effort, and we'll harness internal and external expertise from UPSI and other bodies, especially KPM, for the workshops that we have currently aligned for workshops. For each workshop, we have a combination between the internal expertise and the external expertise, like for example guru cemerlang, then guru-guru subject, guru-guru mata pelajaran and things like that, to actually look into how to make this a proper curriculum that is doable, because the teachers themselves who are the front line of the education system in Malaysia, we need to actually taking their views into account as well. So that is why we are involving them and additionally, we are also looking into inviting people from MOE, Ministry of Education, especially bahagian pembangunan curriculum, the lembaga peperiksaan, to actually look into the system, to look into the framework and the details of the document kurikulum pendekatan NEOTERIK, to see its feasibility. So that is this the what can I call a summary version of what we plan to do to actually make sure that this curriculum can be operationalized, can be practiced in the school. So we were hoping that we can help MOE within this scope. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hafiz. 3 years sounds like I think very ambitious timeline, but I like that you are very optimistic about it. I can see that there are a lot more engagement that you have to do with various stakeholders, and to operationalize it on the ground, scaling it up to how many thousand schools in Malaysia? I know there are 400,000 plus teachers in Malaysia. It's a really huge undertaking, I can see. And 3 years, if we can really make it happen, to me, that would be very
Prof, the 3 years is not for the whole of Malaysia. So the 3 years is for the pilot for the pilot.
Yeah.
for us to have a foolproof version of the curriculum itself. So
All
after
right.
that,
Okay.
we will hand over the curriculum to KPM, because structurally they will be many challenges. One of the most prominent challenges is the nature of the teachers, because the teachers are subject specialists.
Mhm.
Within this curriculum, it requires the teachers to be somewhat generalist in nature.
Mm.
So we have contemplated on that issue as well for quite some time. But we think that we have struck, or we found a way around it, because, and this is also boils down to how we actually do the timetable. So, for example, if cluster nombor satu pembangunan curriculum, pembangunan manusia, which has science, arts, and also pendidikan jasmani in it. And what will happen? Probably, I reckon what will happen prior to the opening of a school, if the school when a school is is practicing the curriculum Neoteric, is for the teachers to actually sit down together, and to actually ideate on what kind of projects that they can do throughout the span of one year. So that is something that we are also looking into, strategizing within the retooling workshops for the teachers as well. Yeah.
So the way I understand it, you see that teachers are actually the biggest challenge to get them prepared to implement the Neoteric curriculum. Being a specialist in the subject, moving from being a specialist in the subject to being a more kind of a generalist, able to design the project that will integrate the different discipline. So I guess teachers also would have more, I mean, increasingly have to work collaboratively in groups to design a particular project, right? So
Yes.
I think I really love the idea because I've been reading on this a lot, and again I've seen this being done to some extent in different schools, especially overseas.
Yes.
To a certain degree of success, of course, there are issues and so on. So
Mhm.
we can start to dream now that this new curriculum one day could be implemented in our school. All our teachers are well trained to implement this. They really understand, how, I mean, the philosophy behind it and how to do it. And parents as well would understand as well. But again, my worry always the things that outside the school, the ministry itself, all the the jabatan pendidikan negeri, everything, all those things need to be sort out.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if we have one or two last questions from the audience. The numbers are dwindling now, but it's okay. If we have one or two more questions, you can unmute the microphone. Something that you want to ask Dr. Hafiz on this topic. Kita ada neoteric teachers. I like that. Neoteric teachers, yeah? A new breed of teachers, I guess.
Yes. Mhm.
Dr. JJ, is this one Dr. JJ, our JJ, ke?
I
Dr.
think
JJ,
so.
do you like to ask questions to our Dr. Hafiz here? Don't be shy, Dr. JJ. I know you're not shy. All right. So, well, I personally have a lot more questions, but of course, I don't want to be, to take over this one. This is actually for the audience. Well, if you don't have any more questions, well, you can see the last. Can you see? I think the audience can still see the slides. You can go to this link, or you can scan the QR code there. And I think there's question whether they can get a slides, Dr. Hafiz. Can they get a copy of the slides?
Sure. I'll make it available. I'll email it to you so that we can share. Yeah, no problem.
Maybe can you share your email? Maybe they can email you also. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I'll share my email within the chat module.
In the chats, yeah. So those who want to get a copy of the slides can email to Hafiz. There's a email there, and I'm recording this session. So the recorded session will be made available on my YouTube channel. You just go to YouTube and search my name, Abdul Karim ABD Karim alias, and hopefully by tomorrow I will upload the recorded version of the session to YouTube. And you can also ask questions there below the description of the in the comment section of the video. You can also ask questions, and I believe Dr. Hafiz will be able to answer the questions there also. So I'd like to thank Dr. Hafiz for sharing with us these big ideas. This is something that let us hope and dua that this will be the next game changer for our education, and all the stakeholders will buy in the idea, and then we can implement this in all the, according to Zaid just now, I saw Zaid is here, 10,000 plus school in Malaysia. And actually at first I thought UPSI will have your own school, tau, Dr. Hafiz. I thought you have your own school. You have your own teachers, and you can really, have a total control of the school because everything belongs to UPSI.
Yeah, we are. That is within the pipeline, bro.
Okay. Well, I'm going to retire in 2 years' time, so I hope I can apply to be one of the teachers.
Oh, of course, bro. But I don't know whether we have that money to pay you, bro.
Okay, once again, thank you to all the audience that are able to join the session, and thank you again to Dr. Hafiz. I'm really very, very thankful and very grateful for you to share this big idea, although it's not yet kind of fully big, but you are sharing this to get a constructive feedback and comments so that you can work on it and improve some aspect of this NEOTERIK curriculum. So with that, thank you very much, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and see you all again in other webinar series. Thank you.
Thank you. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.